Good morning. It's time for coffee with Carma. And today I have a fresh brewed cup, so it's quite yummy. And do you wonder why I sit here and pause? Because it takes a moment for the live to actually go live everywhere. So I want to make sure that nobody misses anything. Little strategy. What? So, have you ever wondered why some entrepreneurs who may be even mediocre at what they do are catapulted to the stratosphere, while other entrepreneurs who may be more skilled fade into obscurity or just don't make it to the big boys. Now, sometimes that is a choice. I will give you that. This some people choose to play small, not because they don't feel good about themselves, but because they've decided that they want a lifestyle that being that big won't support. So I'm not talking about those people. Well, let me tell you a story. I recently read this in a book. A friend once said to Russell Brunson, this is a friend of Russell Brunson, not a friend of mine. Friend of Russell Brunson's once said to him, "Do you know what the difference between you and Tony Robbins is?" And Russell said, "No." Now, obviously, these aren't exact words. This is paraphrasing because I read it in a book and I'm doing it from memory. And Russell Brunson said, "No, what's the difference?" And the friend said, "Well, I think you're better than Tony, but Tony has a book." So Russell pondered that for a moment, and a few months later came out with .com Secrets, and the rest is history. Since he put that book out, he has reached more people and grown his ClickFunnels business. In fact, he may have done that before ClickFunnels. I don't remember what the timeline was, but there's before the book and there's after the book, and it's different. That book really catapulted him and his business forward. That's the power of authority from a book. So in today's Coffee with Karma, I want to give you 3 tips that will help you write an authority building book that can do the same for you that a book did for Russell. Now, Russell wrote a traditionally thick book. You don't actually have to write that many words. It really depends on what you want to do, what message you're doing, and what you want to put forth. But what you do need to do, it doesn't matter how thick the book is. What matters is what's inside it, and does it solve a problem that your ideal clients have? And it needs to be a problem that your ideal clients have that your less than ideal clients may not be attracted to. That's even better. So, tip number 1. Identify what that core message is. What is that core message that will move the needle for your ideal client? Now, I know that you offer a full transformation. I do, but I can't put all of that in a book. I can't put in one, well, I could, but no one would read it because it would be like this thick. How to get from 0 to hero on the author's journey in one book, because either A, the book would be so thick that no one would read it, or B, it would be so superficial, it wouldn't provide the value that would lead people to want to work with me. They'd think, "Oh, she's just Googling it." Or worse, AI wrote it. No. Ah! So tip number 1 again is find a core message that'll move the needle for your ideal clients one step, and then go deep into that one step in your book. So, for example, in January, I'm releasing the first book in a series of 5 about the author's journey. And that first book's going to go deep into how to identify your best idea for a book. Not a lot of people cover this in books, so it was really hard finding competitors. But I know how important it is because the people I talk to, they're like, that's where they get stuck. That's where The vast majority of entrepreneurs and other people get stuck. They come up with the desire to write a book, but then they can't come up with the idea. Or they come up with so many ideas that they get stuck choosing which one to start with. I get you. So, tip number 2 is now you want to identify 3 to 5 stories that support that core message, because you're going to be telling your book as a story. So, for example, I opened up this podcast with a story about Russell Brunson. That story told basically put forth the message that I'm trying to convey in this episode. So you want to have story, and they can be your stories from your life. They can be stories that are in the public domain. They can be stories from your clients. It doesn't matter where the stories are sourced from as long as you have the right to tell them and they support that core message. Then, and this is the juicy tip. Tip number 3. Research similar books to the one you want to write and identify 2 things. Just 2 things, because you've already got the third thing that needs to be in your book, and that's your secret sauce. Identify 2 things. You want to research other books that are going to be like yours. So if I could find other books on how to come up with an idea for a book, that's what I would have done, but there wasn't any. So some people would tell you don't write that book because no one wants it, except that I know that people do want it. I just don't think anyone has a framework on how to come up with the idea. They just said, just do it. And you can't write a book about just do it. Anyway, so the 2 things, you're probably waiting for the 2 things. The 2 things are, what are readers of those books really loving and looking for and will expect to see in your book? Because you need to put that stuff into your book, or at least address it and say, you know what, I don't agree with this stuff. And this is why, and this is where I'm going instead. But you need to find out what the gorilla in the room is so that you can address that pink gorilla. And the second thing is, what are they looking for but not finding in those books? And that you will find in the negative reviews. Now, yes, you will find negative reviews that said, I don't like the cover, or I don't, one I got, I don't like the fact that she wanted my email address for the rest of the book. There wasn't a rest of the book. But anyway, I digress. I digress. So you want to find out, what are they going to expect to see in your book and what are they looking for and not finding? Because if you add 2 things to your book, your secret sauce and what people are looking for and not finding, that sets your book apart and it sets you apart as an authority. So once you've got those 3 things, you're going to be able to pull together a client attracting book that can be very powerful, move the needle for your ideal clients, and persuade them to at least get on your list, if not reach out and work with you. I hope you found today's Coffee with Karma useful. If you have, let's see, no. If you would like to get a start on your journey, I have a ebook I've just recently come out with called Quick Start. Your quick start guide to writing your authority building book. If you would like that, it goes into much deeper my methodology for coming up with an idea. If you would like a copy of that, comment below and I'll reach out to you with a link. Ciao for now.